welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. I hope you're enjoying your new monthly box with all our Lawn Fawn goodies this month. Today I'm showing you how to use some of the die cuts and the supplies in your box. We're going to be making this Happy Easter wreath, such a versatile wreath in these Sprig dies. I can't say it, it's a real tongue twister, but I'm going to show you and I'll give you some ideas of how you could use it for Christmas time, for Thanksgiving, some really wonderful ideas with it. I'm also going to be showing you this lovely quilted background that we've die cut for you in your box. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is take your one of your card bases, and I've cut mine in half at 4 1/4 inches so that I have two pieces. I find this is better to work with for me. And the first thing we do is build our wreath, so that has time to dry while we're doing our background. Now for that you're going to be using your Sprig dies. You're also going to want the piece of green that we've put in there. This is the cilantro green, and there are two slightly different shades of pink, but whichever piece of pink you will want that as well. And so the first thing we want to do is cut a base. Now you don't have to necessarily have a base for your wreath, but I found that this was much easier. Now I'm using my slide on over circles, and the middle side actually makes a brilliant base for your wreath. Alternatively, you could use some of your basic circles dies, and these are the scrapbook.com ones, and you could just put the pieces like this, and you would then again get that just outer ring that we can build our wreath on. So I'm going to hold this down with a piece of post-it tape, and I'm going to run this through my Gemini Junior. So let me just make up my sandwich. Always to think this one through a little bit. You can see my plates are very well loved. So this will give you this lovely ring that you can use to build the base of your wreath. As I say, you can use these slide on over semicircles, or you could use some of your stacking circles dies. Move those to the side. So that's our base. And now you're going to want to die cut your sprigs. So I popped mine on here. Now you want roughly 8 to 10 of the green, and then I just run the pink through at the same time. I didn't use that many of the flower, but it does cut you 3 at once, so it doesn't take long to do those at all. Again, just using some post-it tape. This is great for die cutting. And I'm going to start popping these through my Gemini. So now we're going to build up our wreath, and everything I use, so the slide on over semicircles, these tools, my Gemini Junior, everything will be listed below. So I'm going to split the supply list in two. One will be everything that's included in your kit, like the Sprig, and then everything that I have used in addition will also be down there for you as well. And the other thing I will do for you is that Ellen Hudson coupon will be down there as well, and that's also in the email that I sent you with the unboxing video, and also the one that I'm going to send these videos in. So the first thing I'm doing is just putting a ring of the Lawn Fawn adhesive around, and I'm going to start just by laying down a sprig like this. And I'm just leaving this end of that sprig up. And then you just want to layer them, so around about halfway, layer them over each other. We'll press it down at the end. You can see there's just a little bit of overlap there. So you just want to start building this up. I'm working on the Tim Holtz glass mat, so I'm not worried about any adhesive. You could also work on an Easy Clean mat or an Ink Essentials mat. But you don't want to fully press it down because we want to be able to add some texture and depth to it. Like this. And now I'm just sliding this last one. So I've actually slid it underneath the top of the first one so that you get that nice circle all around. And now I'm going to take a little bit of that adhesive and I'm going to just really gently give it a squeeze. It's got a nice fine nozzle on it. It will dry clear, although it's white when it's wet. And I'm just kind of drizzling a little all the way along. And then I'm going to start building it up over these white pieces, like this. I'll put one in there. You could also take a little bit of green ink and sponge it in there if you want to add some extra depth and things to it. You could cut more of these if you wanted to. As I say, this is the cilantro cardstock. I really like the Lawn Fawn cardstock. If you watch my videos, you'll see I use it huge amounts. Oh, that one stuck to my finger. And so this will need a few minutes to dry, which is why we're doing this first before we do our background. And just, again, just drizzling a little bit of that in there. And just thickening these leaves up, like this. You could even cut your ring out of green if you had some at home. And I'm going to put another one in here. We can also cover in any white spaces in a minute as well with our flowers. So if you have any white spaces, you can also build those layers up there as well. So I'm going to leave this to dry just for a couple of minutes. I'm just going to pop it to the side while we assemble the rest of our card. And I'll just pop my lid back on for a moment. So we'll use the flowers in a second. I'm just going to scooch those to the side as well. You want to take one of the card bases included in your kit and you want to fold that in half. Now this is a little bit lighter than the regular weight of cardstock I would like to have included. We will be including the 110 in future. This is the 90, and you'll notice it's a little bit thinner, but it still works really well for card bases and for your colouring as well. So you want to score that at 4 1/4 and then fold it in half to make this card base. You'll also have a piece of this lovely yellow sunshine or sunflower cardstock, and this has been die cut using the Quilted die, which is one of the new Lawn Fawn dies, also available with your coupon as well. So this is what we use to cut it with. And you can choose how you want to use this. So this is actually a carved front size piece, and I'm going to trim mine down so that I have a nice little bit of border for a matting layer. Now you can also either choose to poke the holes through so that you will see the white through it, which is the effect that I'm going for, or I left these at the bottom and you can use it like this so it looks more like a dry embossing effect. I think both are absolutely stunning. Love this die, which is why I've included it in there for you. If you do want to do that, all you have to do is just quickly poke, this is my craft pick I'm putting through it. You could use a Sizzix die brush, that would work well too. But I'm just going through and poking these holes out. And I would do this before you trim it down. If you're going to trim it like me, you're not going to trim a whole lot out of it. Some of them you'll notice may have a little bit more of a slanted line, so you're going to want to cut that off as well. You're going to cut it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And as I say, you can choose to do this with the pick, or you can just leave it as a dry embossed effect. I think both look absolutely beautiful. So that's my piece done. And I'm going to cut mine down. I have my cutter pad here. So I'm going to cut this down. This has a little arm, and this actually also folds around. So you can see there, I can make a right angle or I can have it straight. So we're going down to 4 inches. I'm going to cut it off of this side. And we're going down to 5 1/4. Like so. And the next thing you want to do, I'll just sweep those off, is again take your glue that we've included. If you're a regular subscriber or you maybe pre-ordered, you'll have this as a bonus in your box. You could use any adhesive, but this is really nice, the fine nozzle on it. And it seems to stick really nicely as well. And all I'm doing is just putting a tiny, tiny dot in the middle of each square. You don't necessarily need all of this, but because I tend to send my cards through the mail, I like to make sure things are stuck well. You'll also find that some of you might, everyone has a handwritten postcard. So I wrote over 500 notes. Everyone is different, and we looked at where you live, or maybe if it was a familiar name, you'll have that in there as well. And just randomly, Miss Kelly also popped in some handmade cards as well out of our stash. So once you've done that, I'm going to open up my card base flat. I always map my layers with my card base flat. It's less springy and you're going to get more even effect if you do that. And so you just want to press that down. Now I'm just going to turn this over and I'm going to just pop the die on top, just something heavier on top. I'm going to put that to the side while we finish off our wreath. So this is your wreath. Mine's pretty much dry now. And then what I just went round and just kind of pinched, I suppose. I'll show you the finished effect. But let's just go all the way around like this. So what this does is it gives you this lovely 3D effect. You can see that those edge pieces I've kind of flicked up. And that means that we have almost like those 3D leaf effects. So I'm now going to stick this onto my card. So you want to go around the edge. And so we're now going to stick this on the front near the center. Like so. So there's our card there. And now let's do our sentiment while those layers dry. I always like to just leave myself a couple of minutes between layers, otherwise I find things move around a little too much. So we're going to be using our Some Bunny stamp set that came in your kit, and I love this little Happy Easter that's in here. My tip for using sentiments that are photopolymer, I just recently bought these lawn fawn blocks, and you can see that they've got grid lines on them, which are really handy. So if you want to get something straight, but just pop your stamp down on your surface and then pick it up with your block. Because what you'll find is if you do it yourself, you quite often can end up with it a little bit slanted, you might bend it. Circular sentiments are amazing, but you don't always want one. So if you just let it relax, pop it down on your surface, and then pick it up with your block, you'll get a nice straight photopolymer sentiment. I'm going to be using another piece. So this is the piece we cut out earlier. We cut that circle out. I'm just using that and I'm going to just pick this edge here. I'm using the Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink to stamp out with. You could use a colour if you wanted to. You could heat emboss. But I'm just going with some of that black. Just make sure there's no... Oh, let me smudge that so I'll make sure I miss that. And then we want to cut this out as well, just into a straight sentiment strip. So once you've cut out your strip, the next thing we're going to do is the finishing touches. And first of all, that is our flowers. So for that, I have this Elizabeth craft from the Susan's Garden set. So you have these roller balls, they come in a lovely case, and it has this foam mat. And the best thing that I love to do is just go in the middle there and pop it up, and this gives you this beautiful 3D flower. So if I just kind of turn that on its side, you can see it just curls upwards, which gives you a really nice effect. I think it just adds the finishing touch rather than having a flat flower. So I'm just going to go through these and pop them up nicely, like so. So I'm just going to put a couple on here. And you get different size of ball heads in there, and you get a pair of tweezers, there's this mat, so it's a really great set if you like adding dimension to things, or maybe you use the Susan's Gardens dies as well, which are absolutely stunning. You can probably hear Miss Tilly outside the door. her and her sister are playing with Daddy out there. They're building their Lego while Mummy's doing these videos for you. So I really hope you're enjoying your subscription box. There's all of our flowers done. And again, I'm just going to take the Lawn Fawn adhesive, and anywhere where there's some white areas, like here, I'm going to put a little dot of glue, and then I'm going to fill it with a couple, maybe one flower. Sometimes I might add 2 flowers here. So let's put 2 dots down, and so we can add that. Keeps vibrating. So I'm going to add 2 here. I'm going to go up here and add another one. And I wouldn't place them too evenly, not necessarily 2, 1, 2, 1. So I'm going to add 1 here. So try to be a little bit more random with them, but it's great for filling in any areas that you might have that have lots of white. Again. Another one up here. Perhaps we might just pop a second one in there. So you can go around, you can add as many or as few flowers. I was thinking you could make magnolia wreaths with this. You could do fall and Thanksgiving colours. You can make it springtime. You could do summer. You could do your Christmas wreaths with this as well. So I really loved how versatile this was, and I thought you would get a lot of use out of this die set. So I'm going to pop that in there too. So I think that's probably enough for this one. Actually, maybe one more down here. Like this. So you can just keep adding until you're happy with your wreath. Like so. So that's all of my pieces in there. I'm going to add my Happy Easter, and I've taken a piece of my big foam tape and my Tonic scissors, and I've sliced it down the middle so that it will fit onto here exactly, which works really nicely. I'm going to stick this down. I'm going to stick this across the middle. Now you could put this wherever you feel appropriate. I really like it across the middle. You might prefer it down here. You could put it on maybe on an angle like this. I think that looks really pretty too. You could put it underneath down here. I think I might actually put mine on this one down here. You'll see on the pictures, the other one I did, I put it through the middle of my wreath as well. But just that final finishing touch, I'm going to be using these Nuvo glitter drops. These are the Sherbert Shimmers. Of course, everything is linked below for you, and you have that 10% off coupon as well. And I'm just going to pipe a little dot into the center of each flower. Nice little bit of shimmer, just again, those little finishing touches. I really think they're important on a card. This one's stood up, so I'm just going to peel it off of my drop there and stick it back down. I think it needs a little bit more glue. There wasn't any underneath the second flower. And you can see how fine this nozzle is. So you can get a lot or a little of glue depending on what you need. And I'm just going to grab my little craft pick. Most used tool in my craft room. They're now black rather than red. Tim wanted to have a cohesive colour range. So if you see the red ones, they're exactly the same, but the new ones are black handles. So there we are, all over. I've added those details in. So here you are. This is our finished card. Thank you so much for joining me here today and using the supplies in your first Hedgehog Hollow monthly box. I hope you've enjoyed making this card. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you don't already to our channel to see other videos as well, and check out the other tutorials using your box too. Happy stamping. I'll see you again very soon. Bye!